So you want to disappear and be invisible in the forest when you're hunting. As archers, that's kind of what we want to do. Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host today on Archer Talk 101. And today we're going to talk about ghillie suits. Ghillie suits have been used in warfare and changed the way modern wars are fought. After all, the snipers want to disappear. And here's some information on the suit, a little bit of history background. Uh, so everyone has heard of camouflage, and as bow hunters, we know about camouflage because we're always doing camouflage. And the reason we're doing it is so we can kind of hide and disappear from the deer. Now, although we know about camouflage, not all of us know about a ghillie suit, how it started, or what's going on with it, and why they could be such a good advantage for us to use when we're out bow hunting. So let's take a look at the ghillie suit, how it got started. The ghillie suit dates back to Scotland when barons would pay men to patrol their properties. They wanted to keep people from illegally hunting, and it was their animals, and they didn't want to be taking them illegally. So these men become known as ghillies, because the ghillie suit, it kind of ghillies, I guess that's kind of a thing there, and they would hide in the bushes waiting for the poachers because they wouldn't be seen. The ghillie suits, they mostly consist of like rags and frayed materials, whatever was on hand that worked good. Nowadays, ghillie suits, are being used for several activities, from sharpshooting, your snipers to paintball, depending on what type of environment you're in. The materials have changed, but the concept behind covering remains the same. The ghillie suits wearers can remain unseen and look like a pile of sticks or leaves in the forest. Um, Snipers use ghillie suits because they're high effectiveness. Around the time, the conclusion of the 18th century, the art of sniping began. Now, this was done to destroy and break the spirits of the enemy. Rebels would pick off targets from faraway areas. Snipers came about, when weapons become more accurate and had a longer effective range. The use of sharpshooters or snipers changed kind of techniques in which wars were fought. Before you had your snipers, officers would go to the battalions and then command during the battle. Infantry, or whereas direct engagement, where you had one-on-one combat, from the close range or a bit further range. And they're giving the commands there. They're not really much cover for them. Now they would use like I said, just direct engagement. That a little bit more cover, flanking techniques. Then once they had the snipers, commanders needed to blend in with the rest of the soldiers so the snipers couldn't pick out who was the commander, because you take the commander out, then the troops don't, there's nobody to lead them, so they have to step up and do that. So they would blend in, and that's also when they started, fighting a little bit more in woods and mountains, and terrains, over open areas where they get easier to hide in there. Now, for the sharpshooters, the ghillie suit gave the sharpshooter unbelievable camouflage and protection. There are so many styles of suits that the wearer can blend in with their terrain anywhere. Like a desert ghillie suit would look completely different than if you were in a woodland area. If you're in a place that has snow, those are going to look different yet. So they're going to blend in with whatever the environment is. So the materials used is going to be based on that area. Now, a sniper's talent to remain hidden is essential for their safety, since most of the time a shooter is alone or with a spotter. So you got one or two people there is all. A well-made suit to cover the shooter is essential asset besides the gun or the weapon that you're using. As bow hunters, we're going to be using a bow. Now, sharpshooter safety will depend on the skill of the person wearing it to stay unseen until it's time to take your shot. Now, once you take a shot, a sniper, because they're shooting and moving, as bow hunters, we're going to be sitting more still. After they take the shot, it's essential for the sniper to stay safe once they use it, and they're going to use the ghillie suit to be able to hide. People are coming through looking for them, and they can hide right underneath their feet because they can't see them. They're going to be able to escape much easier. Now, when we declared independence from England here in the United States, the Patriots would hide in the bush and shoot and then move to a different location. This is the same thing that we're going in, they're going to hide, take the shot, and move. Because that time the British, they would be walking in formation and, wearing their bright red suits, easy targets, see a nice bright red suit walking through the forest. And then the Patriots, we would, be more hidden. And then they wouldn't know where the shot's coming from. By the time they figured it out, they'd move to a different location. Yeah. Now, as we go through all this, it's kind of interesting, how the ghillie suit come, and how it was used in more and stuff. But how do we apply that to bow hunting? That is real key to this. How can we use the ghillie suit or camo and the techniques used by the snipers to hide from the deer? After all, when we go deer hunting, we are basically acting like a sniper. Especially if you're in a tree stand or in a blind, you're in a spot, you're hidden from the deer, and now that is what we're doing. We're waiting for them to come by. It's either that or using like the spot and stalk technique, where you're walking through a field or a forest. You're gonna, the ability to hide. If you have a ghillie suit on, you're going to be able to hide a little bit better, because if they do hear something or see something, if you stop, you're going to disappear into the forest. Now, here's a situation. I was actually following a buddy of mine, and he had camo on, and he had the little pin on leaf things on there. So it wasn't a complete ghillie suit, but it had enough in there. And he got a little bit ahead of me, and it was like he disappeared on the trail. I knew where he was at, but he disappeared. So just imagine you're walking down the trail, your buddy's ahead of you, and all of a sudden he disappears, and he took one step off the trail, and he sat there. You're walking down, and next thing you know, you walk a few yards and he's behind you now. And you completely walk past him, and you're aware, you're a bow hunter. You're used to looking for little bitty clues that the deer might be bedded down in this spot, and you're listening for stuff, but you walk right past them. So let's take that into a hunting situation. You're walking in a field or forest, and a deer hears you, and it stops, turns around, looks at you. Because you're in a ghillie suit, you disappear. If you stop and don't move, they're going to look at you. They might turn their head a little bit. They might stomp their foot or snort. But after a while, they figure out there's nothing there because they didn't see anything. They didn't hear anything. And now they go back to doing what they're doing. And now you can do whatever you're doing, whether you're trying to sneak out of an area because it's past shooting time, or you need to get to a better place to make that shot. Now, unlike some targets, deer have very good eyesight. They're very good at detecting movement. And even though they don't see color, they do see movement and shapes very well. They have a good sense of smell. They can smell things that we can't even smell. And they have good hearing. They can hear very well. So how do you defeat all three of those senses? We have to get by all these senses. And how do you do that? Well, let's start with the eyes, because that's kind of the subject of this podcast today is camouflage. Well, with the camouflage, you have either one, you can get off at a distance where they can't see you. You're just too far away. Now, as bow hunters, we don't have the luxury of being that 100 yards away, 200 yards away that a rifle hunter would have on a deer. So we've got to get close to them. So the distance is not a factor. So now how do you defeat their eyes? Well, that's with camouflage. Either just camel clothes, which work really well, or a ghillie suit, or some combination or variation of that. So now if you're not moving and you're camouflaged very well, you're not going to be seen by the deer, because they're not going to know what it is. They're not going to be able to detect a human form or some other shape. Now, let's go into the hearing. They can hear very well. So you want to limit anything that's going to make noise. When you do move, you want to move slowly. You don't want to be walking through, have that cadence of step, 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 step. You either want to walk through the forest where you don't make any sound at all, or you walk not like a human walks. You might take a step or two and stop and listen, or you might actually shuffle your feet. If you listen to the forest when you're up in your tree stand. Yeah, you hear a squirrel running around on the ground. They're making all kinds of racket, but they're not step, step, step. So try to imitate some of that as you're walking through the forest. That'll help on the hearing part, because they're going to hear you if you're walking. It's just, do they think you're a threat? Now, the nose. This one is the part that is going to be um, one of the senses that, even though they might not well see you, they might be able to smell you, because deer have a very good sense of smell. Now, one way to do this is just be downwind. As the wind blowing your scent away from them, they're not going to pick it up. Not always possible. Even you set up, you think the trail is going to be upwind, you're hunting downwind. You know what? They don't know that that's the trail they're supposed to walk. So they might walk downwind, catch a scent of you, and then spook off. That happens a lot because they're going to catch a scent. Now, how do you eliminate your scent? There's a couple of ways to do it. One way is to use scent control soaps. Don't use soaps with perfumes and smells in it. You use a shampoo. Those have a good smell in them. Use something so you eliminate your scent. Antibacterial soaps that don't have extra scents in it go really well for that. And then what you want to look at too is, on your way hunting, did you put your hunting clothes on at home? You hopped in your car, like, oh, I need to get gas. You stop at the gas station. You got your hunting boots on. You're standing in the spilled gas on the bottom of your shoes. They will smell that. You're putting gas. Now you get gas on your hands, and now they're going to smell that. So you always want to make sure you get gas the night before. Or if you do go, don't wear your hunting clothes and put gloves on that you can get the scent on, take off. Uh, so that's something to think about. The other way is, on your way there. Um, let's say you don't stop for gas, but you do, you know, go in someplace, get something to eat or something, and you want to have your clothes in a scent controlled container and put them on when you get to your hunting spot. That is another option you have, is to not put them onto your hunting spot. So your boots and everything are there. You pull them out, you take off your other clothes, put them on, and go. Now then, there's also scent control clothes. Now these are charcoal line suits, like the chem suits the military use. Those are charcoal line suit. They're designed to absorb your scent. Um, Now the chem suits are really designed to absorb chemicals coming in, so it doesn't filter it into your body. And they also work filtering your scent going out. So the activated charcoal will block that from going through. I know the first time I knew one of these actually worked really good, I had a chem suit on, and it was early season and it was hot, and I was wearing a suit, and I'm sitting here, I'm sweating while I'm out there hunting, and I figured when I pulled the suit off, it was a pullover top and pants. I figured, you're sweating all afternoon, you're going to have a smell. So I pull it off, and it just smelled like distilled water. So I was like, okay, these work really good. Now they do make clothes designed for hunting that have the charcoal lining in them. They're pretty good quality charcoal in them. You do have to use special soaps for them, because regular soaps will, bind to the charcoal. So you want to make sure you do that. You have to reactivate it. You do that in an oven, or not oven, but a dryer. And there's several manufacturers there's that make those. I know there's Scent Block or Scent Lock, a couple of the big names, but there's others out there that do that. I'm not promoting those two products, but those are some of the things that you can use. Now that's where you can eliminate the scent, because after all, when you're after your target, can see very well, hear very well, and can smell you from a fairly decent distance, you need to defeat all the senses. So that's what that's what ghillie suits can do for you. Now, one thing to remember on a ghillie suit, normally there's a lot of loose clothing on it. And if you're shooting a bow, you want to make sure that inside that arm, on your arm holding the bow, that those little rags and strips of material don't get caught by the string. So you may have to put something on the inside so that it keeps it on your, like an arm guard, to keep that material in so you don't hit it with your string, because that'll affect your shot as well. You don't want to have anything that does that. So one way you can get other information like this is to um, join the Facebook group Archer Talk 101. I'll leave a link in the description below on how you can join that group. There we have archers out there that have been shooting for just a matter of a few days, weeks, years, to some have been shooting for decades. A lot of good information. You can upload a video of your shooting and we'll give you little pointers on what you can do. The other way you can get information is go out to YouTube channel, follow me there. You can go out to the archtalk101.com website. There I have information out there. If I review a product, there'll be information out there about the product and some of how you can obtain the product at places to get it. And then the other things, if you want to learn how to shoot better, I offer a 15-minute free consultation call to see if archery coaching might be for you. I'll leave a link in the description for the application form, little form to fill out to get to know you a little bit better. And then I'll send you a link to book your 15-minute call. And that's free, just to see if coaching might be for you or how I can help you in your archery journey. So once again, my name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Archer Talk 101.